So throughout the past week, we have been exploring the story of Ruth and Naomi, and we wanted to share a version of that story with you. We have created a tableau, and the way that this works is that the gong will sound, and you will all close your eyes. The gong will sound again, and then you will open your eyes to see the scene set before you. While the story is being read, your eyes should be open. Then when the gong sounds again, you should close your eyes while the figures change positions. So let's try it. Okay. Here you come. Naomi was happy living in Bethlehem. She loved her husband and her 2 sons. But one year, a famine hit Bethlehem. A famine is when grain and vegetables won't grow and there is nothing to eat for many days. One day, the 4 of them sat down to talk about their problem. Naomi's husband said, "I've heard they have lots of food in Moab." "Isn't that very far away?" asked Naomi. "Yes, it is," said her husband, "but the people there are kind to the Hebrews. Maybe they would be kind to us." "Let's go," said Naomi. Things went well in Moab. Naomi and her family had enough to eat, and people were kind to them. In fact, Naomi's 2 sons got married in Moab. Naomi didn't like it at first. She worried about the Hebrew law that said Hebrews should only marry other Hebrews. But Ruth and Orpah are such fine people, Naomi thought. How can it be wrong for my sons to marry them? They are just like daughters to me. Then, sad things happened. First, Naomi's husband died. Soon after that, her 2 sons died. Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah cried together. It wasn't just that they were very sad about their husbands. In those days, women who didn't have husbands might starve. The husbands were the only ones who could get money for food. A woman without a husband might not have no place to live. Sometimes these women even died. Life was hardest for Naomi. She had no cousins or aunts or uncles in Moab to help her. Finally, Naomi said to Ruth and Orpah, "I have to go back to Bethlehem. I have some cousins there who may help me. And I have heard that the famine is over and the people of Bethlehem have food again. I think you should go back and live with your mothers." Orpah said, "Yes, I'll go back to live with my mother." But not Ruth. "I love you more than anyone, Naomi," she said. "You would be unhappy in Bethlehem," said Naomi. "You have no friends or family there." "Please don't ask me to leave you," said Ruth, "or to keep from following after you. For where you go, I will go. Where you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." Naomi gave Ruth a very big hug. "I say thank you to God so often for you, Ruth. I don't want to go away from you either." "Then let's go to Bethlehem together," said Ruth. They were still very poor in Bethlehem. Ruth picked up little bits of grain that were left behind in the fields. It was very hard work in the hot sun all day. Ruth felt tired, and her back hurt when she got home at night. Naomi worried that Ruth might work too hard and get sick. Ruth was gathering leftover bits of grain in a field that belonged to Boaz. Boaz was Naomi's cousin. He had heard about Ruth and how she had been so kind and loving to Naomi. Soon, Ruth and Boaz got to know each other and to love each other. They got married, and Naomi went to live with them. "Look at that," some of the neighbors said. "Boaz is marrying Ruth, and she isn't a Hebrew. That's awful." "It's not awful," said Boaz. "It's wonderful. Ruth is a good, kind person." Naomi had always wanted to be a grandmother, but her 2 sons had died before there were any babies. Now, Naomi began to hope again. Maybe Ruth and Boaz would have a baby. They did, and all of Naomi's friends in Bethlehem came to see her new grandchild. Ruth and Boaz named the baby Obed. He became the grandfather of King David. King David became Israel's most famous king.